Let's move on to Colorado, who, again, they are the story of the weekend. The Colorado Buffaloes, Coach Prime. We talked about it a ton on Saturday. Obviously, Coach Prime can coach. If anybody thought that he couldn't, he can motivate. They appear to have not one, but two legitimate Heisman candidates. Again, I think what blew me and Aaron away more than anything was probably three things. First, the quality of Shedeur Sanders, which we're really about to dive into. The just otherworldly nature of Travis Hunter, but then maybe most of all, most impressively, for putting together this team in about 6 months, the execution and discipline in nearly every phase of the game for that Colorado Buffalo team just speaks to Prime's ability to coach. That said, Aaron, you beat a TCU team that some are unsure about how they'll be. I think TCU's going to be fine. Not like win the Big 12 or anything, but I think they're not going to be bad. They're still a pretty good team. How good is Colorado really? That's the question now, right? Like, are they on the level of a USC, Oregon? Oregon State looked really good this weekend. Are they more middle of the pack? How do you feel about this Colorado Buffaloes team?
I think they're still more middle of the pack. I think we'll learn a little bit more about them this weekend, because I think the question is still going to be, for me, the physicality in which they can play. And I thought the offense line did a pretty good job this past weekend, but they faced a lot of drop 8. So I mean, for TCU was only rushing 3 the majority of the time. And you and I talked about it after Nebraska's game on Thursday night. The one thing that did impress us both was the way in which Nebraska's defense played. And starting with the front 4, they got after the quarterback. Yeah. They stopped the run. So if I do want to consider Colorado a contender to maybe upset a USC or an Oregon or an Oregon State or a Washington, because I still don't know if they have all the pieces to win the conference, but can they at least upset one, if not two of those teams? I think the question still needs to be answered. Can they dominate at the line of scrimmage? And I think this is the perfect test this week. And if they go out there and have a game in which the offense line does hold up versus Nebraska, because they check off all the other boxes, like quarterback elite. And I think Colin had a great post about this today where he hit up a couple of NFL execs asking about Shedeur, and they said, yeah, this guy has everything you want to be a potential first-round quarterback. So
we're not crazy. What everything we said,
we're not crazy.
The accuracy,
NFL
the
scouts said this.
Legit.
Yeah. The movement, the touch on the football. So you got a really good quarterback. You have really good receivers. You have a pretty good secondary. You have a corner that can shut off half the field. Mm-hmm. It's stopping the run, which they struggle with at times. Mm-hmm. And can they protect against a more dominant defensive line that's going to show you a little bit more 4 down and not as much, just rushing 3, dropping 8.
Yeah. So
that's the final piece that if they get answered this weekend, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, they may be able to compete with some of those bigger boys.
It's so we're feeling pretty similar then here, Aaron, because I too was like, I don't know if I can yet just say that I expect him to be on like the USC, Oregon State level, but credit to them, I do feel like I'd take them over Arizona State, Stanford, UCLA, Arizona.
They're a bowl team.
UCLA look pretty good. Yeah,
team.
They're a bowl team.
They're going bowling.
But Shedeur Sanders is the X factor here. He is so good and looked so dominant in his decision-making and accuracy on Saturday, his ability to manipulate the pocket, everything we talked about. Mm-hmm. When you have a first-round talent at that position, you could do astronomical things. I mean, it's the most important position on the football field. A quarterback can be a force multiplier of good, right? Where like the quarterback getting 2 times better makes the team 3 times better or 4 times better. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not shutting the door on them not breaking into that top tier. Like, I think maybe they are. They might be that good because from where I sit, you have a quarterback that is as good as any in the country. You have weapons that are solid enough, and he's going to know how to take advantage of those weapons. And I think you have an O-line that can protect them. So I'm kind of with you. That is the hang up there. How will the O-line be? And the defense will probably lose you a game. I'm giving the defense a little bit of free pass because that was a hot game on Saturday, long game. They were okay early on. They kind of wore down by the end. But Shedeur Sanders changes everything.
Yep.
And then obviously Travis Hunter, but mainly because he plays quarterback. Like Shedeur Sanders actually makes you relevant to potentially just be among those best teams. Like you said, knock off one of those best teams.
Travis Hunter doesn't need to practice. Doesn't even practice. I mean, I guess you maybe practice a little bit just to keep up some sort of conditioning, but you keep him healthy and he's just going to walk through. Like he is someone that I don't even know if he needs to practice. He's just that good. He's just that good. He needs to work on the jugs a little bit. Hands were a little bit questionable at times. Got a couple drops. Interception should have been another. Should have had 2 picks. But he's someone that you just say,
yeah. But he also did.
Well, this goes to what we talked about earlier. When you're that elite,
15, he goes
that
and
elite,
losses that guy. Yeah, I guess you're right.
But when you're that elite, we could be a little bit nitpicky, just a little bit nitpicky,
you're right,
just a little bit. We can't crown him god of college football just yet after one game. So we have to kind of knock him down a little bit, make sure he stays humble heading into the rest of the season. They're a team where you look at their schedule, they should be 3-0. They should beat Nebraska. Mm-hmm. They should beat Colorado State, and they get them both at home. That place is going to be bonkers. When's the last time that we've seen Boulder, Colorado on a Saturday, big noon kickoff, and that place is going to be shaking?
I don't think I've ever.
No.
Because when Colorado would have been good, Aaron, when we were like 1-2 years old. Yeah. So no, I don't think I've ever seen it in our lifetime, at least. 34 now. Prime. You know who
I see 7.
You think Prime wants to do? Should LSU fire Brian Kelly and hire Prime? I mean, it's people are talking to.
The only part he ain't going to leave after this year because Travis can't leave. And what is Shedeur? Shedeur's what year?
It's junior, right? He's played 2 years at Jackson State.
So depending on the NFL draft, I think he's a first round talent. So I think but he ain't going to leave Travis high and dry. And Travis already uses one free pass.
Yeah, I don't think. Look, I'm joking. I think Deion may chill at Colorado for a bit, right? I mean, he seems to actually.
Well, if they're the best, he may be the best team in the Big 12 heading into next season.
How it looks today, heading next year, true.
Heading next year because he's gonna re-up that football team. Well, he's gonna get a lot of first picks in the portal. They're gonna put together a better recruiting class going forward.
You know what they're not getting enough credit for, and it's a bit interesting, and maybe this is a bit out of line for me, but the Tom Luganville take about them maybe having the worst lines in the country, right? When he texted you about that take, and that's why I'm saying this out of line, because I am bringing a personal message a bit on there. But when he texted you about the line, one of his critiques was like, they're taking guys from like Maine and UMass, like naming all these small schools, right? Being like, yeah, they got guys, but look at they're getting guys from all these other schools. Their scout, if that O-line proves to be as solid as it looks Saturday, that and then it kind of extends the rest of the team, that scouting department deserves a lot of credit. Because they took guys that other people had undervalued, not seen the talent in, and then are now getting the most out of them. And the one thing that Deion didn't really have thus far in Colorado was the traditional recruiting was not really hitting. Like according to all the recruiting guys, it was one of the big disappointments. Well, that's going to start hitting immediately. Travis Hunter, I just read, gained 75,000 followers on Instagram over the weekend.
Did you see ETN, the running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars, tweet at his brother, running back for Florida, maybe you should go look at transferring to Colorado?
Wow.
Yeah. How about that shit? Like, how disrespectful is that?
I did see a meme. I can't remember.
When you got guys in the NFL saying, hey, maybe you should go check out Prime. Like the amount of juice that coach is bringing, which is why I said
and Napier at this point is like the inverse Prime. No juice for Nape.
I think Hugh Freeze at Auburn is going to do his thing, but I still think there's some Auburn fans.
Fucking need to let go of Prime to Auburn. It's an awful thing compared to Freeze at Auburn. Would work. It would work. I'm not saying it wouldn't work.
It would have kicked ass.
Yes, of course it would.
He'd work anywhere.
Whatever.
Who would you take right now? If you're Auburn, if you had to hit redo right now, who are you taking as head coach?
Auburn's taking Hugh Freeze 10 out of 10 times. Bro, they love Hugh Freeze.
Who are you taking right now if you had to pick?
I would take Prime. I would take Prime, but that's not it still doesn't change it to me, but I'm not Auburn. Like I can't even put myself in Auburn's headspace. They're fucking weird, man. We talk about it all the time. They're zealots. They have a belief that you cannot stomp out, and Hugh Freeze is the perfect person to lead that army of believers.
Where are you putting Prime right now? I'm not putting him on like the GOAT. I'm not talking about championships or him versus Saban or Kirby, but on the list of coaches, if you're building a team, is he a top 5 coach that you want on your football team right now? Or are we just blowing this up after one win?
I mean, I don't want to be. Well, it's not just 1 week, though. That's the other thing I want to be clear about. That's what Prime was basically talking about. Everybody's fucking hand waving away. He was dominant at Jackson State. Dominant. And they think it's just because he had advantages that other coaches didn't have. No, it's because he can coach fucking football.
Yeah.
And he can motivate. So I don't know. Top 10, moving towards the top 5, like by season's end, I guess is where I'd probably land. But it was as impressive as a week 1 in the Power 5 as you could have possibly had for Deion and company. And it was all electric, dude. The post-game interviews. Actually, you know what I did want to correct, though? No love for Shiloh Sanders. Led the team in tackles. 10 tackles for Deion's other son. Fucking quarterbacks, man. It's all anybody wants to talk about. Are quarterbacks. Right. What do you think Shiloh's thinking? In the post-game interview, Deion saying, this is my son to Shedeur, and this is my other son to Travis Hunter. And Shiloh's like, what the fuck, man? I'm right here too.
10 total tackles. 10 total. That's all.
I was saying, hell of a night for the Sanders family, man. Hell of a day. Big noon kickoff. Shout out Fox. Hell of a big noon kickoff too. Right? I mean, good win for Fox last week.
Good win for Fox. Big L for CBS.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Rutgers Northwestern. Speaking of malpractice.
Well, they had Ohio State though. They had Ohio State.
Yeah, I know. And Gary Danielson just sounded so fucking sad.